What's going on, everybody? It is part 2 of custom polyurethane bumper, and I've actually got half of it done. Boom. So if you are eager to see how I've got up to this process here, well, stay tuned. Alright, and here we go. What do you guys think? So, what we're going to do is give you a little slideshow real quick to give you an idea of how I got to this portion here. The reason why I only did half is because I wanted to give you the general idea of where we're going to be before any kind of body work. This green stuff, that's fiberglass. So, let's go ahead and let's get on with the slideshow. Okay, so what'd you think? I think I did a pretty good job to get it up to this portion here. I ended up having a little debacle, and this corner here actually ended up falling out on me, so that's why you can actually see some fresh 2-part epoxy there. I ended up having to just re-glue this seam in here. It was really wonky. There's not a lot of rigidness here. Obviously there's no structure because we are doing the license plate delete. So with that said, we want to be able to pan it all back in and do it the right way with some actual polyurethane. Now it's all ground down both sides. I've already gone through it and drilled it out like Swiss cheese. This is for the purposes of the 2-part epoxy to actually bite into all of these holes, much like fingers, and it's going to grab that bumper in a structural aspect. So as it goes through it, that's the great thing, but it's very malleable. It's going to move a lot, and the stuff's like rubber, so it will flex a lot. So in order to put some structure into it, you're going to want to take some of this drywall mesh. I like the sticky backer kind, but it doesn't really matter what you use, and that's going to be on the back side. As you saw in the pictures, you're probably wondering what the mesh was. This is the mesh application. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to cut it all to size, cut this strip, cut this strip, cut that strip, anywhere you're going to want to lay it on the back side. That way you have the ability to just grab all those pre-cut pieces, because once that stuff's mixed up, it's going to want to dry and it's going to start curing very quickly. So you're going to want to move fast. So make sure you prep for the job and get it done right. So with that said, we're going to go ahead and move on to actually show you how to do it the right way. So now we're going to do some explanation so that we can show how to fill this portion in. I'm sure everybody's eager of the exact process of how it's done. And of course, why? Alright, so I'll go ahead and just kick off with the answer of why. So the reason why we did the actual license plate delete is I actually wanted to be able to hide the license plate. Now, it also being in the same exact prime real estate that I wanted that exhaust to actually poke out. And if you don't know exactly what I'm talking about as far as exhaust, go back and check out my other previous videos. That way you can get a good idea of why and what I'm talking about, to get to this right here, because that is extreme custom. We got rid of a license plate, and you're probably wondering, how are you going to drive this thing? I can't exactly give too many details, but for now, there will be a license plate. We'll just say that. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to go through the process of, this is about tacked up enough to where I believe that I can actually unscrew it, get it out of this form, and then I can actually flip it over. Bada bing, bada boom. We're gonna go ahead and start prepping for all of the mesh to be laid down. Now what you're gonna wanna do is lay all of the epoxy with an acid brush. If you don't have an acid brush, and if you don't know what an acid brush is, it's basically right here. That's an acid brush. So these are really great for applying seam sealers and two-part epoxies, and you have the ability to put pressure on it and manipulate it and put it where you want it, which is great, and move fast. That's also a great thing. So with that said, I am going to go ahead and lay some epoxy down on the back side. You lay it down in a nice wet coat, put all of your mesh down, all of your sections, and then you lay more epoxy on top of that. It's a pretty easy process. You basically just want to keep it nice and soaked with the product so that you know it has nice mill thickness. Fill in all the voids on the actual mesh itself. You know, it's got all those little pockets and whatnot, all those little square holes. Make sure you fill all that with product so that there's no holes in it, there's no air bubbles, there's no voids. Voids are going to be an imperfection, and that's where you tend to have problems, is the imperfections. So with that said, let's get this done. Alright, well, you can see why I like the sticky backer. I like to cut it all to strips, get everything all ready to go, pre-placed. That way I can just do it pretty relatively quick and walk away. Got a little gap I've got to fill, but I'm just basically going to let it drip right up onto the plastic table here. And it'll be fine once I mesh over it anyways. I'll be able to separate it from the table, flip it over, and get the chop strand fiberglass on the backside for more added structure. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and start laying down some two-part epoxy here. As you can see, what we'll do is we'll just get it mixed up. I'm probably just going to shoot it right out the gun. I'll put a new tip on there, and then we'll lace this whole area, and then we'll take the acid brush, we'll brush it all out, and then we'll start applying all of these strips here that are all pre-cut. Once I get all those done and put on there, then I can start laying all of the long pieces, and then start connecting all this in, kind of like puzzle pieces, let that cure, and then once that cures, we're ready to flip this thing over. Alright, as you can see, all the small pieces have been done and all laid in to place. Everything's all ready, Freddy. And then I can start doing all of the longer pieces here, but I've run into a dilemma now. I realized that I'm completely out of two-part epoxy now, and I'm not very happy with myself. I'm not real sure how I ended up using 2 full tubes, but apparently that's what I've got on here. Which, I mean, it makes me feel good because I know I've got enough material on here, but it kind of sucks because it is Friday and everything isn't open on the weekends, so it's hard to find this kind of stuff on the weekends. With that said, I'm kind of screwed. Hopefully I can find a Napa that's open on Saturday, which I don't think they are, but we're gonna try. Hopefully I can find something, that way I can at least finish that. I think it's good enough to where I can probably do the front of it once this all dries and whatnot, and I can actually do all the body work and get that all finished on the front side and whatnot. But I think it's probably what's going to happen, to be honest, So with that said, we'll see, right? But while we're in here, I might as well show you what they did for the last repair. It's like a piece of rubber. It literally is rubber. And they just kind of glued it there. Yeah. But anyways, that is why it cracked on the other side. And I'm going to have to repair it and get it all to fit correctly. But, it is what it is. I mean, everybody has their own way of doing things. This, by all means, is not the right way at all. Because it's rubber, it's going to just move. It's not really going to have any structure, which is mainly because of the mesh here. And even on the outside, they still have, no body work and whatnot. So it's just going to split all the way through. They obviously didn't, grind all the seams so that where it mates up together, where the crack is, it's going to bond. So because of that, it just split and it is what it is. We're just gonna have to get in there, grind that out, and get that ready so that this can be all repaired also as well. You know, you can see it's just kind of carrying out on through, and it'll keep continuing ripping, you know, with that additional stress that I've been putting it through, which is the main reason why I wanted to put so much material on here and make sure that there was a lot of structure here in the middle, mainly in the middle, for the sheer fact that there's a lot of you know, manipulation and whatnot because of the bottom has been cut out. This is all just a straight, you know, edge and whatnot. You know, you can see that I've cut all of this out, you know, for the main purposes of putting in a diffuser and obviously the center exhaust. So if you're curious, I might as well show you. You know, there's the center exhaust. You know, it's not easy to do, but you get the reason why we're going to town on this bumper and whatnot, and getting it to a par the way it's ready to go. You know, because I want proper clearance. I want it to not burn. I want to have any issues and whatnot. You know, that was kind of the reason that I kind of acclimated to where the position is. That muffler sits at the exact level of the rear diff, you know, the differential. So there's plenty of clearance, so I'm able to put in a nice diffuser right in that nice open area underneath the bottom, you know, of the bumper. So I'm gonna have it bolted to the bottom of the bumper. That way the diffuser can just come straight down and be lowered, you know, and it'll be bolted to the bottom portion here on the bottom. So I got to make sure it's strong, and if there is going to be any flexing, I don't want any of it to separate and crack like that one over there, and then just get worse and worse and worse, and then it makes me look bad, and then, you know, it is what it is. So got to make sure I do it right. You know, obviously this has never been done, so if it does crack, I got to fix it, and then I got to figure out why it cracked. That's part of being a customizer and a fabricator. But yeah, I feel like I'm rambling now. I'm rambling. Okay, well, it's another day, and I was able to pop it out off of the table, and this is where we're at. Now I've got to go ahead and ground off this ledge here. You can see we've got some overhang, so we're going to go ahead and do so and get all that nice and flat. You can see where everything has come through real nice and neat, and all of the overage. So we're going to have to grind this all down nice and flush so that we can do some body work in here, and then we can lay some more fiberglass just like here. That way we can have all of this the same level, and it'll be nice and strong. Alright, I've got everything just kind of hanging right here. That way I can get, you know, that proper shape, because when it's sitting on the stand I was getting some sagging here. So I ended up putting a 2x4 in here, bracing it so that when the fiberglass actually cured, it was going to cure in the proper shape that I wanted it to, and it wouldn't have to manipulate so much later on down the road. It's a lot easier when it just cures to shape. So now, basically, it's kind of just a waiting time of, you know, basically just allowing this fiberglass to cure up, get hard enough to where I can grind it down just like this side. And then I'm going to lay one more final coat of glass all the way across, get a little bit more uniform, and really just, you know, in reality, just to put more rigidity in there. I kind of like my little design. I kind of brought it up, and then I got it to swoop down a little bit, and then it swoops back up and then back in. It's nice to be able to get rid of this license plate, nice little plate delete, and then I left the OEM dimple also as well, so if anybody is to say, well man, is that really the OEM bumper? Yeah, it is. The dimple's still there just to prove it. So it's still polyurethane, it can be flexed, it is not fiberglass bumper. It does have fiberglass on top of it, as you can see, but underneath of it, as you can tell throughout the video, this is a full polyurethane bumper. So I went over and beyond. That's kind of what I like to do things that you don't see, and I'm telling you right now, you do not see this being done on any other channel out there, unless there's some kind of crazy customization channel. And if there is such a channel, please put that in the comments section, because I would love to be able to watch somebody like that, because honestly, I'm getting tired of watching the same old people on YouTube. Same old stuff, doing the same old boring crap, and it's getting old. So if you guys can, share some YouTube guys down in the comments. That'd actually be kind of nice. Alright, so everything's all cured. I can actually snap this thing off now, and then I'm going to put it back on the stand. That way I can grind this back down. I'm going to mix up some more fiberglass, and then I'm going to lay it all out, and then basically sand it out, get this thing nice and smooth, be able to put everything in primer. I mean, you can already tell what this bumper is going to look like, and I really like it. And I'm super pumped to get it all sanded out. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to sand this thing out, and that way I can get a little bit more fiberglass on here. Now, again, I probably could have just made this entire section out of fiberglass and been done with it, but I would like to have the ability for this to actually, you know, flex and whatnot and still be there, versus this fiberglass here will only flex to a certain portion and then it'll snap and break. I still have the polyurethane section in the entire repair and bumper underneath that will still always be there. That is the bumper. The bumper is there. So with it being a full polyurethane bumper, this bumper can go through damage and be repaired very easily because it is solid. You don't have to worry about putting sections in there and resin matting and doing all this huge repair, when really in all reality, a body guy like me is just going to come in with a hogger, hog out all that chunky fiberglass that's sitting on top that got damaged, and then just apply another thin coat just like I did. So that's the main reason why I'm doing it this way. You know, I did have a comment in the last video of this bumper of why I didn't just throw some resin matting in there, you know, fleece it and resin and whatnot, and that would have been totally fine. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just not the direction I wanted to go, because mainly for, you know, lightweight purposes, yes, I understand that this is heavier now because I did it all in polyurethane, but I did it because I wanted to flex. That's the main reason. So now I got to grind down a majority of this, get it down to a pretty thin coat again, and then I'm going to go ahead and lay another chop strand, you know, coat down on, and basically I should be done with that. I don't want to put too much fiberglass on here just for the sheer fact of just adding a lot of weight. I just wanted to put some rigidity into it, and that's the main reason why I did fiberglass and I didn't do some kind of Bondo filler. Bondo filler is not going to have any kind of flexibility or any kind of rigidity. It actually cracks very easily, versus I can put a lot of strain and stress on this and it'll actually take it. Alright, so I decided to work in this area first. The reason why I did so is just because I wanted to get this contour looking remotely like the other side, and this side definitely didn't repair in the plastic adhesion in the direction that I wanted it to. I had a little bit more trimming and filling to do here, so I had to put a little bit more fiberglass in this edge here. But other than that, it's really not too bad. I mean, you can see, you know, I can put quite a bit of, I mean, I'm really pushing on this bumper, and it's not flexing, or it is flexing, excuse me, and it's going with the bumper, which is great. So I know that I did the repair the correct way, which is awesome. Also, another thing, I've decided I'm gonna get rid of that dimple. I'm looking back on it, and the more and more I think about it, I don't think I like it. So I'm just gonna go with that smooth look. I'm actually gonna smooth that right in. I'm gonna grind that out, fill that in with some fiberglass, and then that way I can just do a nice glaze coat right up and over this thing and be done with this. All right, so we're just gonna skip ahead. I want to get some body work done. Let's do some body work. do you think? I think it turned out pretty good. So, it's solid plastic. In my eyes, it's done right. And it's all one solid piece. It's basically the same material, which is awesome, you know, with some mesh rigidity put inside, which is awesome. Some holes that are drilled, so they're much like fingers and they grab in, you know, it's pretty nice. And actually, I was talking to a construction buddy of mine who actually watches my channel, and he said it reminded him of pylons that holded the house, you know, or held the house, held the house. And I was like, yeah, that's your main structure. And he's like, yeah, we build off of that. And I was like, well, kind of the same thing. And he's like, cool. Okay, so while this cures, obviously it is very wet, as you can see from the gloss and whatnot. Now, some of this gloss will dissipate. It'll still be glossy when it is cured, but it just won't be as gloss right now. It's got that high gloss to it. It'll have like that semi-gloss finish to it. The best way to tell if it is actually cured or not is to come around the edge and just kind of dab your finger into it. Now, be careful. Now, make sure that you do the allotted time that it asks for on that on the cartridge here, so that you are not just sticking your fingers in here, because this stuff, it takes a long time to get it to come off your hands. It's a lot of work, you know. I mean, the best, you know, scenario, if it does get on your hands, just grab some lacquer thinner, it'll come right off. So don't freak out, you know. It's nothing that like, oh man, it's on me. But if you get it on your clothes, absolutely freak out, because that shit's gone. You trashed it. Make sure you wear some clothes that you really don't care about, unless you're good at it and you don't have any spillage problems, you know, like myself. So like today, I'm wearing my Moon Performance t-shirt. I like this t-shirt. I actually paid for this t-shirt with my own damn money. So I'm gonna take care of it. You know, I like it. So with that said, I'm gonna let that cure a little bit, and then I'm able to kind of scrape it up off of that plastic table. I like the plastic table just because it separates the bumper from the actual repair, from the table itself. Use a scraper, pop it in there, boom, boom, pop it up. Too easy. Choose your weapon. Get you. Alright, so basically just gonna do a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of this. Oh, look at that, the bumper's moving. Ooh! Okay, sweet, I got it off. Alright. Just kind of separation. Alright, come on, you little fricker. Stay, don't fall. Oh, just had to catch it. Okay. Eureka. Boom. Come around here. See how we did. Alright. Look at all them freaking holes. Alright, well, now I gotta grind this down, and then I can start laying some more fiberglass, but I need to get a little bit better prepared. I kind of just sat it here because I was basically going to drop it. But you can see what I mean. As it comes through, it definitely grabs the panel really well. So I know that when this, well, it's not going to happen, but we're going to say if this were to get hit, it will flex. Woot woot! Alright, so might as well go through while everything's still soft. We're going to trim everything nice and level. This is going to save a lot of time. It's also going to help with the actual grinding disc itself. That way it doesn't gum it up. So, yep, smarter, not harder type deal. Are you ready for it? What do you think? I really like it. I think it's super clean. It's one of those things where I think a lot of people are just going to walk right past it and not even know that there's not even a license plate on this car anymore. I think it's that clean. I think I did that good of a job to where it's probably too clean. I got a little bit of trimming up and around the exhaust tips and whatnot. There, obviously some tight radius there. It's very close as far as clearance wise. Again, I do not want the tips to burn on the muffler, on the bumper again, and whatnot. So I'm going to trim it a little bit. We'll make sure that we have a finger gap in between. That's the rule of thumb, is a finger gap, so that you don't have any burning and whatnot. But yeah, I'm super happy. And yeah, I mean, obviously now all I got to do is just sand this thing out and then put it in some icing, block it out, put some primer on it. Awesome! I'm pretty happy. So with that said, I guess instead of just watching me sand that thing out and putting in primer, because you already got the gist of what it's going to look like, obviously. And I'm not going to give away the color of the car just yet, because we can't do any painting yet. I don't want to give that away. But I will give one secret away for this build. I'm sure a lot of you have probably wondered. No license plate. What are you gonna do? Now it's not street legal. Well, alright, I've been following this product for quite some time. Enough so that it actually got my attention because it got a SEMA award for being a badass product in their show. And everybody knows what SEMA is for. It is for the products and for the vendors. So you can see right there. I forgot it's actually stamped right on the box, but there you go. It is a SEMA product award. That's how great this thing is. It is not a cheap piece of crap kit. This is a show and go kit made by Alltech. Again, this is not a sponsored video. I just don't buy crap. So I'm gonna put a nice product on here. This way we, as you can see, no license plate, boom, license plate. I kind of like that, click of a button, bada bing, bada boom, comes out, he wants to go to a show, he hits his key fob, which they supply 2 of them. Let's see if we can find them. Yeah, they're in here, 2 key fobs and whatnot. He hits it and it ejects back underneath the bumper. That's going to be pretty nice. So it's going to slide on this rail system here. And basically the plate just slides right off of that, so I just have to mount this rail up inside here. And I'll show you the general placement of where I'm going to put it, and you can see that it actually have plenty of clearance now that I got rid of that. Oh, let me turn on the light, probably be a little easier for you. There we go. No more charcoal box, got rid of the canister, it's gone. So this is going to be the prime real estate now for this license plate. Now, I'm going to mount this up as high as I can, which is basically about there, and then it's going to ride off of the rail. It'll come out, and then it'll flip right up here, which is really nice, and then right back down, right back into the allotted tray that I'm going to build for it. I'm basically going to make kind of like a slotted section here, and then I'm going to go ahead and mimic the same thing over here, obviously, so you have the symmetry and whatnot. It'll look more like a vent than anything. So basically, then I'll have this assembly here, and then underneath that, to sandwich it all in, will be the diffuser. I should be pretty happy with it, so with that said, stay tuned. So as long as Billy can pull it off, I think that's a pretty badass idea that I'm going with. It's a nice little direction, I feel. I like it. So yeah, that's a nice little secret. I've been trying to hold it in for as long as I can of what I wanted to do. I don't want to give too much away on this build. I'm trying to do a lot of custom fabrication and whatnot. I'm tired of the cookie cutter builds. I'm tired of seeing the eBay builds and the Amazon builds, and your internet builds just aren't doing it for me anymore. I'm sorry, guys. I know you have a passion for these cars. Not everybody's a millionaire. I totally get it. We all don't have a bunch of money to go out and do this. We don't have those kind of skills to pay the bills type deal, but I do, and I want to use them. I want to do this to kind of show you guys that you can do it too. You know, it's not that hard to do these things. You just literally have to do it. You know, it's like I had a really good friend of mine tell me, and this is like one of those things that you're gonna really like this life lesson, because I really don't like preaching too much about life, you know, especially because this is a Subaru only channel. This is not a, hey, let's get your life shit together. You know, that's not me. That's not what I'm all about. But I will tell you this right now. All right, so this is the difference between actually doing something and trying. So I don't want to hear, oh, I tried. Majority of the time, that means you didn't do anything, all right? So you said you wanted to, but you probably didn't do anything, or you put a little bit of effort into it. So this is what my buddy told me, and I got it immediately. Let's see if you get it. All right, so we were driving in a BMW, in his BMW, going on lunch. He threw his keys right in the center of the console, and he told me to try and pick them up. I looked at him like he had 3 heads, and I was like, okay. And he slapped my hand, and the keys fell back down. I was like, what? And he's like, no, try to pick them up. And I was like, okay. And I went to reach for him again. He goes, no, you're actually picking them up. He goes, I told you to try. And I told him, I was like, well, I'm doing it. And he goes, no, that's the thing, Bill. You're doing it. You are actually doing it. Guys who say they try, this is trying right here. You see the keys moving? So ask yourself, do you really enjoy doing this? Because if you do, maybe you need to find that enjoyment again. That's the reason why I do this every day. That's why I wake up, because I actually enjoy doing stuff like this. You know, there's going to be times that I don't enjoy doing my job. I'm only human, guys. But you still got to be headstrong. You still got to do all these things, you know? I mean, if you talk about saying that you want to do something, that's just considered a dream or a goal. You know, wouldn't you want to have achievements? You know, achievements are a lot better than goals. But the goals are great to have for something to work for. If you don't have goals, what are you working for? You know, so really in all reality, guys, set yourself some goals. Get these things done. Do things that nobody has seen before. You know, and set yourself apart from those others. You know, there's a lot of cookie cutter builds out there that are just buy it now parts, and they're installed really easily because the majority of them are kits. You know, so it is what it is. That's why a lot of Subarus all look the same. You know, so that's why I like to be different. That's why I like doing different things like this. You know, this custom bumper. Yeah, it took me a long time to do it, but it was worth it. I'm Bill Schneider. This is Rumble Garage. I work on only cars with stars. Subaru only. Have a good day, guys.